The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations to Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue, Oregon, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 35733. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation. Starting on the face of the bumper, passenger side, you'll find your electronic siren. Just inside of that location on the passenger and driver side, you'll find dual air horns. As we move to the bumper face, driver side, you'll find your mechanical siren. And then as we move up onto the bumper extension, you'll find a D handle gains access into the tubbed storage location. Moving over to the driver's side, you'll find a swivel 1.5" discharge. And as we move up onto the cab on the outer edges, you'll find a marker turn indicator. Just inside of that location, headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights, and just above that, a forward-facing emergency warning light. As we move to the outer edges, you'll find your mirror housing a flat and convex mirror. Moving up to the very center, you'll find a forward-facing floodlight. Then as we move to the brow of the apparatus, you'll find 5 clearance lights. Also located on the passenger side, you'll find a downward-facing convex mirror. Moving up to the top of the roof area, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Located just inside the light bar in the center is your Opticom. Let's go ahead and take a look at some close-ups of the images we just talked about. Let's take a look underneath the front bumper area. As we move to the tubbed storage location, dry deck material inside. Also a notch on the driver's side, so the hose will lay flat going over to the swivel discharge. Swivel discharge located in the very front. Full view of the driver's side of the vehicle. Let's go ahead and take a look at the cab and we'll focus in on that area. But let's first start with the front axle. TAC 4 front suspension. In the center, a sight gauge, Alcoa wheels, Michelin tires. Front bumper extension has a side-facing emergency warning light. Locked door latches. As we move up to the door itself, you'll find next to it grab handles for gaining access in and out of the cab. As we move to the lower section, just underneath the grab handle on the rear cab wall, you'll find a lower emergency warning light. As we move all the way up to the top of the cab, you'll find a side-facing floodlight. And then to the rear of the cab, rear wall, you'll find an LED water tank level indicator. Let's take a look at the wheel and tire combination, Michelin tire, Alcoa wheel, and then also the center sight gauge. General view here of the pump panel area. We'll go ahead and move now to the body. In front of and rear of the axle, you'll find folding wheel chock storage. As we move up from that location, side marker turn indicator. We also have a few pan doors located on this side. First, lift and turn latch gains you access into the Scba storage location. Directly over the axle, you'll find a side-facing LED emergency warning light. And then as we move to the rear of the axle, pan door gains you access to your ultra low sulfur diesel fill location and also blue cap, which is your DEF fill location. As we move up to the very top, you'll find 2 side-facing floodlights and at the very rear, an emergency warning light. Let's move around quickly and take a look at the back of the apparatus, just a general view. Then we'll move around to the side of the vehicle. This is the passenger side. And then we'll move into the cab area. Same configuration on both sides. All compartments are in the open position now on the driver's side. Same thing with the rear area, all compartments open. And then we'll move around now to the passenger side of the vehicle, all compartments in the open position. Let's go ahead and move now to the driver's area. First, starting with the door panel, you'll find affixed to the door panel all of our safety and warning placards, door lock, latch, window control, and electronic door lock. And then you'll find below all of our safety placard information. When you access the door, the steps will auto-deploy. As we move to the base of the seat, you'll find your air inlet, and then also you'll find an indicator light indicating power on. Let's go ahead and move to about the right ankle of the operator at the floor level. It's where you'll find your manufactured for your department placard indicating the date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, VIN number, fluid capacities for each component, fluid capacity, and also fluid type. As we move to the floor, you'll find your master battery switch at about the left knee of the operator. It's the red quarter turn. And then just beneath that, you'll find your diagnostic information here for all of your plugins. At the floor level, you'll find a mechanical Siren foot pedal. Let's move up to the dash now. First, starting on the left-hand side of the dash, you'll find a dim switch allowing you to brighten or dim lights within preview of the operator. Headlights, ignition, and start switch. As we move to the very top of the dash area, you'll find the yellow placard indicating the height, length, and gross vehicle weight rating of the vehicle. As we move across the bottom, we'll find all of our gauges indications for front air, rear air, fuel level, DEF level, oil pressure, transmission. As we move up to the very top, we'll find tachometer and speedometer located in the very center. As we move to the outer edge, you'll find diagnostic information will display in the display screen on the right. As we move downward, you'll find a set of switches. First, backup alarm cancel, load manager, OK to engage the high idle switch, air dump, and perimeter lights. As we move just to the right, full view of the operator's view. Let's start at the very top section here with your climate control for heat, defrost, and air conditioning. Just down from that, you'll find switches for your engine brake on and off, setting switch low, medium, and high, off-road traction, mirror heat, DPF regen, and DPF regen inhibit switch. That's going to be the red switch on the far right-hand side. As we move downward, you'll find driver's side window, passenger side window, driver's side cab, and passenger side cab windows. Let's move back to the command zone. 7-inch diagonal screen, touch screen, also accessible with a gloved hand, and also you can find the pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. It's the yellow diamond. As we move to the right, you'll find your Allison transmission pad with a note, pump in drive. As we move to the right, you'll find your pump shift. There are instructions from road to pump, and then also instructions on the right from pump to road. Just as a reminder, pull the yellow collar to move the activation, and then 2 green indicators, pump engaged and OK to pump. On the back side, you'll find driver side and passenger side mirror control. As we move overhead, you'll find a switch panel. There are 2 of them. Let's go ahead and take a look at those panels. First, starting on the left-hand side with the emergency master, roof light, front warning, side warning, the mechanical siren brake, lower rear warning, upper rear warning, and Opticom. Let's move just to the right to the next switch panel. White light cancel, air horn, high beam flash, fog lights, front flood, driver side flood, passenger side flood, and rear flood. Let's move directly in the center where you'll find this light indicating do not move your apparatus. When lit, it's indicating you have a compartment or open door. Also, seatbelt information, red indicating someone is in the seat and not belted, green indicating they are in the seat and belted. Let's move around behind the driver's seat where you'll find a speaker with volume control on the face. You'll also find outlets. There are 2 located in this side. As we move to the vertical wall, you'll also find a breaker box. The breaker box happens to be for your refrigerator. When plugged into shore power, this will become active. Let's go ahead and move to the rear cab. We're now on the driver's side. Once again, steps will auto deploy. Let's start with the door panel. Safety and warning information placards are located here, door lock and latch, and also window control. Let's go ahead and move inside to the cab. You'll find a flat floor. In the forward section, you'll find the refrigerator, and then 3 individual storage locations with netting. You'll also find inside those cabinets 12-volt access via USB style. They do have LED lights. The compartment light is located on the right-hand side. Here's a quick look at the refrigerator. As we move to the rear wall, that's where you'll find these seats located on a pedestal. There are also box lights on each side. Underneath the seat, you'll find storage on both the passenger and driver's side. As we look overhead, you'll find your air conditioner. Let's go exterior now to the exterior portion of the pump panel, starting first in the upper left-hand corner with your crosslay. Let's move now to the gray module, which will be the master intake gauge and master discharge gauge. In between the two of those gauges in the gray area are the test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. They're currently plugged, and those are for testing purposes. We do have engine information all the way to the very far right side. There are 4 gauges on the outer edge, including a fuel gauge. There are also an Audible Alarm speaker located at the base just under the tachometer. That Audible Alarm does have a bezel and will allow you to dampen the sound. We do have tally lights, check engine, check transmission, stop engine, oil, fuel, water, and battery. As we move to the right, you'll find a pump overheat. This has a visual indicator and also an audible alarm. As we move to the discharges, you'll find all of them color-coded and clearly labeled. They are all wheel valves, except for this, which is your electronic valve. Down at the lower section, you'll find a map indicating where those discharges are located via the color coding system. To the right, you have a warning regarding pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. Also, difficult to see in this image here, but we do have a inhibit regen, audible alarm to the very far right-hand side speaker, a red push button for the air horn, your minimum operation maintenance schedule, which we'll go over in just a few moments. And as we move down, you'll find your tank, refill, and recirculating line, and tank to pump. As we move further down, you'll find the push to prime air prime. There are instructions for its operation of at least 1,000 RPM for best practices. We do have some warning placards here. 1, when climbing onto the vehicle, always face the vehicle. Also, large diameter pump inlet, and then just to the right, you'll find your Wattress placard indicating the type of pump that you have. Let's go ahead and move down to the left, where you'll find this placard indicating warning, only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment, and that's only after proper training. As we move further down, you'll find your 2.5-inch auxiliary inlet, and then all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Moving further to the right, you'll find your air supply control and also air outlet. Moving downward, you'll find the pump drain and then also pump shift. Let's go back to the placards that we previously discussed. First, the Wattress placard indicating that your capacity of pump is 1,500 GPM. As we move to the right, minimum operation maintenance schedule for the test pressures of 150, 200, and 250 PSI. On the left-hand side is the associated GPM at that test pressure, and on the right, the associated RPM at that test pressure. In the upper left-hand corner, it is the 5-digit job number, including -01 first truck. As we move to the right, you'll find your front discharge. This is a drain. Also, you'll find a tubbed storage location, dry deck material in the bottom section. As we move to the first compartment directly behind the pump panel area, as we move to the rear of the apparatus, in the upper corner, you'll find a breaker box and also an outlet. The compartments also have ventilation within each of those compartments. This happens to be the S1, which is your shoreline power, and also a outlet for shoreline. When plugged into shoreline power, that will become active. As we move down, we do have 12-volt access via barrel style and USB. Let's go back up to the S1. You can see the individual breakers are located. Just underneath this location is that 12-volt access via barrel style and also USB style. Let's move to the next compartment, which is directly over the rear axle, where you'll find Scba bottle storage for 2 Scba bottle storages and an oxygen bottle with retaining straps. You'll also find a tool board. D-handle gains access. There is a lock on the back side of the hinge. You do have oxygen storage in the far right-hand side.
As we move to the rear, you'll find your fill location. Silver is going to be the ultra low sulfur diesel fill. As we move the flap downward, it will expose the 4.5 US gallon DEF tank. Let's move just to the right to the next compartment, where you'll find adjustable shelves, LED lighting, dry deck material, and also ventilation. As we move to the very base, you'll find dry deck material on the pull-out tray, release mechanism located on the right. As we move around to the rear of the apparatus, you'll find emergency warning light, brake, turn, and also reverse lights. As we move upward, you'll find on the passenger and driver side, rear-facing floodlights. And then as we move to the very top section, you'll find emergency warning light. You do have fold-down steps for gaining access to go aloft. There are some warning placards here. First, fall injury, never ride on the vehicle while it's in motion. Also, pressure hazard, caps may be under pressure, be cautious when opening them. And then also, fall when climbing onto the vehicle, always face the vehicle. As we move to the bottom, you'll find your license plate holder and also perimeter lighting. As we move to the center, just under the hose bed, you'll find an entanglement hazard warning. Because of those lines coming from aloft, there's the possibility of entanglement, and then also your recessed backup camera. This is your hose bed. There are 4 dividers. As we move to the very bottom, D-handle gains access to the lower section, which is a storage. And just as a reminder, when this is down, it is not a step area. Let's move back to the right. Pressure warning also, and also a discharge 2.5 inch. Let's go ahead and take a look under the rear of the vehicle, where you'll find perimeter lighting, backup alarm, and also tow bar. Also located in the rear section, you'll find your folding wheel chocks. Let's move around now to the passenger side. We'll start at the very back compartment, dry deck material, adjustable shelving, and also ventilation. You'll also find shoreline outlet, 20 amp plug located on the rear vertical wall. As we move to the center, you'll find an adjustable shelf, ventilation. As we move down, let's identify a few of these pan doors. First, you also have a fill location, ultra low sulfur, in the lower section with the pan door. Also, hydraulic equipment rack. This is the fill location for the reservoir. We'll move back down to the wheel. Once again, dual Michelin tires, Alcoa wheels. And as we move just forward to this location, in front of the axle, you'll find Scba bottle storage location for 3 Scba bottles. As we move down, you'll find your exhaust. Extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist. Be cautious where you park your vehicle. As we move forward to this location, last compartment in the body area, you'll find adjustable shelving. You'll also find in the upper corner this gray box. This is the timer for your ventilation system. When plugged into shore power, that will be active. You also have an inverter. That's where it's stored at right here. As we move downward, you'll find 12-volt access via USB and also barrel style. Let's take a closer look here first at the inverter. Then as we move down, we'll find the 12-volt barrel style and also USB. On the back wall, you'll find shoreline outlet, ventilation tube. Let's move down to the pump panel area on the passenger side. Behind the double pan door is where you'll find your access for your powered equipment rack. If you have any type of electrical failure, you can move to the hydraulic rack hand pump. There are instructions for its operation on the actual device itself. It's now, the flap is down, exposing the valve and also the location where you insert the handle. As we move back up to the cross lay in the upper right hand corner, then as we move down, a warning regarding fall, always climb facing the vehicle. And then as we move down, pressure hazard, caps may be under pressure, be cautious when opening them. As we move to the very far right, when climbing onto the vehicle, once again, always face the vehicle. As we move down, you'll find your master intake. This is going to be for the passenger side. You'll also find a passenger side discharge. It's green in color, large diameter. And then just to the right, you'll find a 2.5 inch discharge. As we move down to the very far left-hand side of the pump panel, you'll find all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains, and then also a 2.5 inch ball valve auxiliary inlet. This is that minimum operation maintenance schedule, which we've already talked about. Now we'll go ahead and move to the cab area. We have all of the compartment doors open. Let's start first at the rear section of the cab with all of our safety and warning placards, window control, and door lock. As we move just inside, you'll find the 3 compartments Rear facing, each of those compartments have LED lights and also adjustable shelving. Overhead, push on and off white or red lens lights. And then as we move to the exterior of the seating area, you'll find an additional charging location for your box light. We'll go ahead and take a quick look at the deployed steps. Then we'll move to the front axle, TAC 4 front suspension, Alcoa wheels, Michelin tires, and a visual sight gauge. Let's move now to the officer's area. Steps deployed here. Let's go ahead and move now to the floorboard area where you'll find a foot pedal. This is going to control the mechanical siren. As we move to the dash area on the officer side, you'll find a spotlight located in the front. As we move left of that location, you'll find 12-volt access via USB, and then also the vehicle data recording port. Just to the left, you'll find access for your oil and transmission for your daily checks. Overhead, we'll start first on the very far left, which would be the inside location. This is going to be your electronic siren control and PA speaker system. As we move just to the right of this location, you'll find an air horn push button, red. Then as we move to the front bumper, you'll find the cab lift. There are instructions for its operation. Also the operation itself for lower or raise, lock release, and activate. There is a remote also for that. As we move down, there are some information here I'd like to point out. First, starting at the lower section, stow steps on the outside rear cab wall before lifting the cab. Also, you'll find your remote door unlock and activation switch. Let's move to the exterior where you'll find a 24-foot extension ladder and a 14-foot roof, 10-foot attic, and then also you'll find long-handled tool storage. From this location, let's go ahead and move up to the top of the hosebed area. We'll start from the forward section looking toward the rear. These are the 4 dividers in the hosebed. When the hosebed cover is closed, you'll find yellow perimeter tape indicating it's reflective, the walking surface for firefighter safety. As we move to the dunnage area, you do have a covered dunnage area. Also, top fill for your water tank. Moving forward to this location, you'll find your master stream device that does have top control, valve control. There is also Extend-A-Gun, allowing you to lift the monitor above the cab height. As we move to the cab itself, you'll find this is a non-walking surface, and that's why we have these 2 placards on each side of the cab area. I would like to point out just under the vehicle, you'll find your jumper termination points, positive and negative. The next set of images are going to be that of the engine and transmission, just some detailed pictures for you, in addition with the underside of the cab area. Next, I have a short video with all of your emergency lights activated. Congratulations to Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue, Oregon, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 35733. If you have any questions regarding your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.